Beth, what characteristics do you think that all leaders should have?
I think leaders need to demonstrate a continual passion for what they're doing, a clarity of vision articulated in many different ways, great people around them, and most importantly probably the agility and openness to keep reinventing and course correcting along the way.
When you think of your business, Beth, how do you feel motivated and fulfilled?
Retail is not for the faint-hearted, so the consumer is my motivation and taking a business forward. I think you've always got to be looking around you to see what others are doing. I think technology is supporting retail and driving forward, and it's about finding new ways of doing things. What I love about my job and what keeps me motivated is that no day is ever the same.
Who do you turn to for advice, guidance and support? And what would you say the best advice you've had to date?
In my 25 years in retail, and I think Marks and Spencer, my starting point was good groundwork. A woman growing up in a very male-orientated business, I was always able to turn to various people that were good mentors and advisors. So my ethos in life has always been, as a leader, never feel scared to ask questions or admit when you don't know something. Go to people for advice. In the last few years, actually, the best advice I've had is from the Academy of Chief Executives, where I've been a member for 2 years. I think probably as a leader now, the best advice people have given me is, have you got the right team? And I think that's a really important question to answer.
What one or two behaviours, Beth, do you, or indeed your team, demonstrate to ensure successful growth?
I think it's very important in a business that's moving very quickly to put time in the diary to stop and reflect on what's working. So every quarter my team and I do a stop, start and continue. We reassess where we are, we reevaluate our business plan, and we might course correct along the way.
How would you describe your style of leadership and what makes it unique to you?
I think one of the important things when you're running a business is to really understand who the customer is and what the business DNA is. So every business I've been into, I almost morph myself into the ideal customer, so I get under the skin of who that person is and who we're serving. I think as a leader it's very important to let people know who you are and be yourself. So I am not two different people in and outside work, I'm myself in work every single day.
What's been your biggest leadership challenge to date, Beth, and the key lessons learned?
There's no doubt about it that great people make great businesses, and one of my biggest challenges has been about having the right team. I don't just mean technically, I mean a group of people driving the business on your behalf that share common goals and values. And my biggest learning at one stage was when I had a brilliantly technical person that didn't quite demonstrate the values of the business, and that meant that the group of people were misaligned and weren't as effective as they could be. It took me too long to remove that person out of the business because they were very good at what they did.
What's most important to you and the business? Vision, core values, or is it something else?
I think both are very important in equal measures. I think every business needs a very clear vision and underpinned by a set of great common core values. And I think with those two working together and articulated and cascaded right through an organisation, then a business plan can be achieved. I think the difficult thing in my business is that we have a global landscape, and so it's translating those into relevant markets.
How do you know when your vision and the core values are working throughout the organisation?
One of the things I believe in terms of measuring the business are very clear KPIs. So driving sales and driving profit growth would be a commercial KPI. I think Net Promoter Score from a customer feedback point of view is very important, underpinned by a how we're doing survey through the organisation, and I think that gives you a very clear idea.
What's the most significant change that you've brought to the business, and indeed how are you implementing that change?
In my current role, I've been in the business for 4 months, and there are 3 key things I've set out to achieve and clarify at the outset. The first one is an obsessive understanding of the customer and really caring about who she is in everything we do. The second thing is building a very clear vision as how we're going to grow that customer base and therefore drive sales and profit. And that's underpinned with empowering the entire organisation and galvanising them to deliver. I believe in every single person having accountability and responsibility.
How do you resolve conflict within your team?
I think when businesses working at a fast pace, there's always going to be conflict because people are working to different deadlines. But as a leader, I always like to ask my team questions so they come to their own answers. And that first question would be what it is we're trying to achieve. Then I'd like to hear both points of view. Then I'd like to ask them what they think the right answer is for the business. And I think then you take the emotional element out of who is right and who is wrong.
What questions do you regularly ask your team?
I'm always asking my team, what are our commercial objectives? What are we trying to achieve? Then I ask them whether they know how they're going to set about it. A really important question is, do you have the KPIs in place to assess how you're doing? And then finally, that would always be underpinned with, and have you got the right people to help you do it?
What do you do, Beth, to create an environment in the business where your people can take risks?
I'm a great believer in that the biggest risk takers are the biggest winners. So I think first of all is a very clear understanding as to what the business is about to achieve. I think then you have KPIs in place where you can assess the risks to determine whether or not you're going to stop them or course correct to something else. And I think from that point of view, you encourage an organisation to be very innovative and to continue to learn. I think finally, it's very important that you have people talking to each other. So communication of those risks and an understanding of what you're trying to achieve is very important for the wider organisation.
How do you ensure that you continue to grow and develop as a successful leader?
I think the most important thing as a leader is to have a real passion for what you do. If you have a passion, then you have an appetite to continue learning. In a very fast-paced environment like retail, it's all about innovation and technology. I surround myself with people that are able to do the job and might be able to do it better than me. And I think as a leader, as long as you're open to learning from people, then I think it's rewarding and refreshing every day.
Beth, I wonder if you'd mind please sharing your top insights to leading success.
Understand your customer and be passionate about who they are. Have a really clear, razor-like vision and be obsessed with achieving it. Surround yourself with great people. Let them help you do it. Embed a great culture in the organisation so everyone is on the same path. And finally, put really clear measures in place so you can assess how you're doing along the way.
When you think of leadership, what do you think is the biggest challenge leaders face today?
I think a big challenge is trust through the organisation. I think gone are the days where you can have a very charismatic leader that actually makes all the decisions and drives everything. I think that needs to be distilled and empowered through the organisation. But as a leader, an organisation needs to say, do I trust this person? Do I trust them to bring the vision to life?